Are you ready to validate your Java expertise and land that dream developer role? But wait, are you truly prepared for the complex scenarios and edge cases the official certification exam will throw at you? In this video, we will cover Java App Development Certification Practice Questions, Comprehensive Exam Prep Guide. Unlock your career potential with our comprehensive Java App Development Certification Practice Exam Guide. In this comprehensive guide, we are diving deep into 30 high-yield practice questions designed specifically for the Java App Development Certification. We cover everything from JVM architecture to advanced concurrency and Spring frameworks. Make sure you grab a pen and paper to track your score as we go through these realistic exam scenarios. Which part of the JVM is responsible for converting bytecode into machine code at runtime for frequently executed code segments? Option A, class loader. Option B, garbage collector. Option C, JIT, just-in-time compiler. Option D, interpreter. The correct answer is C. The JIT, just-in-time compiler, is a critical component of the JVM execution engine, while the interpreter reads bytecode and executes it line by line. The JIT compiler identifies hotspots, code that is executed frequently. It compiles these segments into native machine code, which is then cached. This significantly boosts performance because the compiled native code can be executed directly by the hardware without the overhead of interpretation for every subsequent call. Options A and B handle class loading and memory reclamation, respectively, and are not involved in the execution optimization. If a class inherits from two interfaces that both contain a default method with the exact same signature, what must the subclass do to resolve the conflict? Option A. The subclass will automatically use the method from the first interface listed in the implements clause. Option B. The subclass must override the method and provide its own implementation or specify which interface's method to use. Option C. The compiler will ignore both methods, and the subclass will not have access to either. Option D. The code will not compile unless one of the interfaces is changed to an abstract class. The correct answer is B. In Java 8 and later, the introduction of default methods in interfaces created the possibility of the diamond problem. If a class implements interface A and interface B, and both have a default method void doWork, the compiler cannot determine which one to use. Therefore, the implementing class must override the method. Within the override, the developer can provide a custom implementation or use the syntax interface name, super, method name, to explicitly call a specific interface's version. Failure to do this results in a compilation error. Which of the following best describes the meta space in Java 8 and later versions? Option A. It is a part of the heap memory used for storing short-lived objects. Option B. It is a replacement for perm.gen and is located in native memory. Option C. It is a specialized cache for the JIT compiler's native code. Option D. It is a thread local storage area for primitive variables. The correct answer is B. Starting with Java 8, the permanent generation, perm.gen, was removed and replaced by metaspace. Unlike perm.gen, which was part of the Java heap and had a fixed maximum size, metaspace is allocated out of native memory, off heap. This allows metaspace to grow dynamically based on the system's available memory. reducing the frequency of Java lang out-of-memory error, perm gen space errors. It stores class metadata, static variables, and constant pool information. What is the primary purpose of the volatile keyword in Java when applied to a variable? Option A. To ensure that only one thread can access the variable at a time. Option B. To ensure that changes to the variable are immediately visible to all other threads. Option C. To prevent the variable from being garbage collected. Option D. To make the variable immutable once initialized. The correct answer is B. The volatile keyword is used for thread safety, specifically regarding visibility. In a multi-core processor system, threads might cache variables in CPU registers or local caches for performance. If thread A updates a variable, thread B might still see the old cached value. By marking a variable as volatile, you instruct the JVM to always read the variable from and write it to main memory. This ensures happens before consistency. However, volatile does not provide atomicity, like the synchronized keyword does, meaning it doesn't prevent race conditions during increment operations, like count++. When using a hash map, what happens if two different keys produce the same hash code? A hash collision. Option A. The second key value pair overwrites the first one. Option B. The hash map throws a runtime exception. Option C. The values are stored in a linked list or a balanced tree at that bucket location. Option D. The hash map automatically increases its capacity and rehashes the keys. The correct answer is C. Hashmap handles collisions through a technique called separate chaining. When two keys have the same hash code, they map to the same bucket index. The hashmap then stores these entries in a linked list at that specific bucket. Since Java 8, if the number of entries in a single bucket exceeds a certain threshold, treify_threshold equals 8, the linked list is converted into a red-black tree to improve lookup performance from O(n) to O log n. Which of the following is a checked exception in Java? Option A. Null pointer exception. Option B. Array index out of bounds exception. Option C. IO exception. Option D. Arithmetic exception. The correct answer is C. Checked exceptions are subclasses of Java lang exception excluding runtime exception . The compiler forces the programmer to either handle these exceptions using a try-catch block or declare them in the method signature using the throws keyword. IO exception is a classic example of a checked exception because it deals with external factors, like file systems or networks. On the other hand, null pointer exception array index out of bounds exception and arithmetic exception are subclasses of runtime exception and are known as unchecked exceptions, typically representing logic errors in the code. In the Java Stream API, what is the difference between map and flat map operations? Option A. Map is for primitives, and flat map is for objects. Option B. Map produces one output for one input, while flat map can produce multiple outputs, a flattened stream, for one input. Option C. Map is a terminal operation, while flat map is intermediate. Option D. There is no functional difference. They are aliases. The correct answer is B. The backquote map. Backquote function is used for transformation. It takes a function and applies it to each element, returning a stream of the transformed elements. One-to-one mapping. The backquote flat map. Backquote function is used when each element of the stream can be expanded into its own stream of elements. Backquote flat map. Backquote then flattens these nested streams into a single top-level stream. For example, if you have a list of orders and each order has a list of line items. Backquote map. Backquote would give you a backquote stream less than list less than item greater than backquote. Whereas backquote flat map. Backquote would give you a backquote stream less than item greater than backquote. What does the wildcard less than extends T greater than represent in Java generics? Option A. It means the type can be T or any superclass of T. Option B. It means the type can be T or any subclass of T. Option C. It means the type must be exactly T. Option D. It means the type can be any object regardless of T. The correct answer is B. The syntax backquote less than extends T greater than backquote is known as an upper bounded wildcard. It restricts the unknown type to be either T or a subtype of T. This is commonly used in producer scenarios. Peck's rule. Producer extends consumer super. For example, if you have a method that reads from a list, using backquote list less than extends number greater than backquote allows you to pass a backquote list less than integer greater than backquote list less than double greater than backquote, or backquote list less than float greater than backquote safely because they all share the properties of a backquote number backquote. Which feature introduced in Java 14 and finalized later allows for a more concise way to model data-only classes? Option A. Sealed classes. Option B. Records. Option C. Text blocks. Option D. Switch expressions. The correct answer is B. Records are a special kind of class in Java designed to act as transparent carriers for immutable data. By declaring a record, the compiler automatically generates the field declarations. A constructor. Accessors. Like backquote name. Backquote instead of backquote getName. Backquote. Backquote equals. Backquote. Backquote hashcode. Backquote. And backquote toString. Backquote methods. This drastically reduces boilerplate code for data transfer objects, DTOs, and POJOs, while sealed classes, A, and switch expressions, D, are also modern features. They serve different purposes, restricting hierarchy and enhancing logic flow, respectively. In a Spring Boot application, which annotation is used to indicate that a class is used to handle HTTP requests? Option A, at service. Option B, at repository. Option C, at REST controller. Option D, at component. The correct answer is C. The backquote at REST controller backquote annotation is a specialized version of backquote at controller backquote. It is a convenience annotation that combines backquote at controller backquote and backquote at response body backquote. It tells Spring that the class will handle web requests and that the return value of the methods should be written directly into the HTTP response body, usually as JSON or XML, rather than rendering a HTML template. Backquote at service backquote and backquote at repository backquote are used for business logic and data access layers, respectively. What is the result of calling the start Method on a thread that has already finished its execution? Option A. The thread restarts from the beginning. Option B. Nothing happens. The call is ignored. Option C. An illegal thread state exception is thrown. Option D. A new thread is created with the same properties. The correct answer is C. In Java, a thread has a specific lifecycle: new, runnable, blocked, waiting, timed_waiting, terminated. Once a thread has completed its "run" method and reached the terminated state, it cannot be restarted. Attempting to call "start" again on a thread object that is not in the new state will result in the runtime throwing an illegal thread state exception. If you need to perform the task again, you must create a new thread instance. Which class is best suited for reading large text files line by line efficiently? Option A. FileReader. Option B. File Input Stream. Option C. Buffered Reader. Option D. Scanner. The correct answer is C. While all these classes can read data, buffered reader is the most efficient for reading text because it buffers characters so as to provide for the efficient reading of characters, arrays, and lines. It has a readline method which is specifically designed to read text until a new line character is found. Wrapping a FileReader inside a buffered reader e.g. new buffered reader, new FileReader, file, minimizes the number of I/O operations by reading large chunks of data into memory at once. Which functional interface would you use for a Lambda expression that takes an input and returns a Boolean value? Option A. Consumer less than t greater than. Option B. Supplier less than t greater than. Option C. Predicate less than t greater than. Option D. Function less than t, r greater than. The correct answer is C. Java 8 introduced the Java util function package containing several built-in functional interfaces. A predicate less than t greater than takes one argument of type t and returns a Boolean . It is commonly used in filter operations in the Stream API. Consumer takes an input but returns nothing. Void supplier takes no input but returns a value. And function takes an input and returns a value of a potentially different type. Which method is called by the garbage collector before an object is removed from memory? Deprecated since Java 9. Option A. Destroy. Option B. Finalize. Option C. Dispose. Option D. Clean. The correct answer is B. The finalize method is part of the Java lang object class. The garbage collector calls this method on an object when it determines that there are no more references to the object. However, it is highly discouraged to rely on finalize because the timing of its execution is unpredictable, and it can lead to performance issues or deadlocks. It was deprecated in Java 9 in favor of Java lang.ref cleaner or the auto closable interface. Try with resources. Why is the string class considered immutable in Java? Option A. Because it cannot be inherited. Option B. Because its value cannot be changed after it is created. Option C. Because it is stored in the stack memory. Option D. Because it only allows primitive data types. The correct answer is B. Strings in Java are immutable, meaning that once a string object is created in the string constant pool or the heap, its character sequence cannot be altered. Any operation that appears to modify a string, like substring, or concat, actually creates a brand new string object in memory. This design improves security, allows for string interning, saving memory, and makes strings inherently thread safe. What is inversion of control, IOC, in the context of the Spring framework? Option A. It refers to the database controlling the application flow. Option B. It is a design principle where the control of object creation and lifecycle is transferred to a container or framework. Option C. It means the user controls the application via a web interface. Option D. It is a way to reverse the inheritance hierarchy of classes. The correct answer is B. Inversion of control, IOC, is the core principle of Spring. Instead of a developer manually creating objects, e.g., service S equals new service, the Spring IOC container manages the instantiation, configuration, and assembly of objects, beans. This is typically achieved through dependency injection. D. This decouples the execution of a task from its implementation, making the code more modular and easier to unit test. In JPA, Java Persistence API, which annotation is used to specify the primary key of an entity? Option A, at primary key. Option B, at key. Option C, at ID. Option D, at column. Unique equals true. The correct answer is C. The at ID annotation is used in JPA to designate a field as the primary key of the entity. Often, it is paired with at generated value to specify how the primary key should be generated, such as identity for auto-increment columns in MySQL or sequence for PostgreSQL. While at column, unique equals true, ensures uniqueness. It does not mark the field as the primary identifier used for entity management and relationship mapping. What is type erasure in Java? Option A. It is the process of removing all comments from the code during compilation. Option B. It is the process where the compiler removes generic type information at compile time and replaces it with raw types or bounds. Option C. It is a bug where the JVM loses track of object types. Option D. It is a security feature that hides class names in bytecode. The correct answer is B. Java generics were introduced in Java 5 to provide compile time type safety, to ensure backward compatibility with older versions of Java that didn't support generics. The Java compiler uses type erasure. During compilation, the compiler replaces all type parameters in generic types with their bounds, or object if the type parameter is unbounded. This means that at runtime, the JVM has no knowledge of the specific type used in a generic collection. E.g., ArrayList less than string greater than becomes just ArrayList . Which of the following is true about a finally block? Option A. It only executes if an exception is caught. Option B. It only executes if no exception is thrown. Option C. It executes regardless of whether an exception is thrown or caught. with minor exceptions like system, exit. Option D. It is used to catch multiple exceptions at once. The correct answer is C. The finally block is used to execute important cleanup code, such as closing file streams or database connections. It is guaranteed to execute after the try and catch blocks finish, regardless of whether an exception occurred or was handled. The only scenarios where finally might not execute are if the JVM crashes, the thread is killed, or system exit is called within the try catch block. Which access modifier allows a member to be accessed only within the same package and by subclasses in other packages? Option A, public. Option B, private. Option C, protected. Option D, default, package private. The correct answer is C. The protected modifier provides a level of visibility between public and default. A protected member, method or variable is accessible to all classes in the same package and to subclasses of the class in different packages. If the modifier was default, no keyword, the member would not be visible to subclasses in different packages. What does the @override annotation signify? Option A. It tells the compiler to replace the parent class method with the current one. Option B. It is a metadata marker that informs the compiler that the method is intended to override a method in a superclass. Option C. It prevents other classes from overriding the method. Option D. It allows a method to have multiple implementations in the same class. The correct answer is B. The @override annotation is a hint to the compiler. It verifies that the annotated method actually overrides a method from a superclass or interface. If the method signature doesn't match, e.g., a typo in the name or different parameters, the compiler will generate an error. Using this annotation is a best practice as it prevents subtle bugs during refactoring. Which design pattern ensures that a class has only one instance and provides a global point of access to it? Option A, factory pattern. Option B, observer pattern. Option C, singleton pattern. Option D, strategy pattern. The correct answer is C. The singleton pattern is one of the simplest design patterns. It involves a private constructor, a static variable to hold the single instance, and a static method, usually getInstance, to return that instance. This is useful for managing shared resources like configuration settings or connection pools. Which collection type would you choose if you need to store unique elements in their natural sorted order? Option A, hashset. Option B, ArrayList. Option C, treeset. Option D, linked hashset. The correct answer is C. A treeset implements the sorted set interface. It uses a red-black tree structure internally to store elements. It ensures that all elements are unique, set property, and that they are maintained in their natural order, e.g., alphabetical for strings, or according to a custom comparator provided at creation time. Hashset does not guarantee order, and linked hashset guarantees insertion order only. Which stream operation is used to reduce a stream of values to a single result, such as a sum or a concatenated string? Option A, collect. Option B, reduce. Option C, peek. Option D, limit. The correct answer is B. The reduce method is a terminal operation that performs a reduction on the elements of the stream using an associative accumulation function. For example, you can use it to find the sum of all integers in a list. List stream. Reduce 0, a, b, to a plus b, while collect. Can also be used to aggregate results into a collection. Reduce is specifically designed for producing a single primitive or object result through repeated application of an operation. What is the function of a countdown latch in Java concurrency? Option A. It acts as a counter for the number of active threads in the JVM. Option B. It allows one or more threads to wait until a set of operations being performed in other threads completes. Option C. It locks a variable so that it can only be incremented. Option D. It is used to measure the execution time of a thread. The correct answer is B. Countdown latch is a synchronization aid that allows one or more threads to wait until a set of operations being performed in other threads completes. A countdown latch is initialized with a given count. The await methods block until the current count reaches 0 due to invocations of the countdown method. This is commonly used to ensure that a main service doesn't start until all dependent services are initialized. What happens when a method is declared as final? Option A. The method cannot be called from outside the class. Option B. The method cannot be overridden by subclasses. Option C. The method must be implemented by an abstract subclass. Option D. The method cannot contain any variables. The correct answer is B. When a method is marked with the final keyword, it means that subclasses are prohibited from providing a different implementation of that method. Overriding. This is often used for security reasons or to ensure that the core logic of a class cannot be changed by inheritance. Similarly, a final class cannot be extended, and a final variable cannot be reassigned. Which of the following is a valid text block in Java 15+? Option A. Line 1 line 2 inches. Option B. Line 1 n line 2 inches. Option C. Line 1 line 2 feet. Option D. Text. Line 1. Line 2. The correct answer is A. Text blocks, introduced in Java 15, allow for multi-line string literals without the need for escape sequences like backquote. They are delimited by 3 double quotes backquote. The opening quotes must be followed by a new line. This feature significantly improves the readability of embedded JSON, SQL, or HTML code within Java source files. What is try with resources and why is it used? Option A. It is a way to try multiple catch blocks for one resource. Option B. It is a statement that ensures each resource is closed at the end of the statement, provided the resource implements auto-closable. Option C. It is used to catch resources that are leaked by the garbage collector. Option D. It is a specialized block for handling CPU resources during multithreading. The correct answer is B. Introduced in Java 7. Try with resources is a try statement that declares one or more resources. A resource is an object that must be closed after the program is finished with it. Like a buffered reader or connection . Any object that implements Java lang auto-closable can be used. This eliminates the need for manual finally blocks to close resources, reducing boilerplate and preventing potential memory leaks. Which garbage collection algorithm is the default in Java 17 for server class machines? Option A. Serial GC. Option B. Parallel GC. Option C. G1. Garbage first. GC. Option D. ZGC. Z garbage collector. The correct answer is C. Starting from Java 9, the G1 garbage first collector became the default garbage collector for server class machines. Machines with more than 2 CPUs and 2 GB of RAM. G1 is designed for multi-processor machines with large memories and aims to meet pause time goals with high probability while achieving high throughput. While ZGC is an ultra-low latency collector, it is not yet the default for all configurations. What is the difference between @bean and @component in Spring? Option A. @bean is for classes. @component is for methods. Option B. @component is used for auto-detection and auto-configuration via class path scanning, while @bean is used to explicitly declare a bean in a configuration class method. Option C. There is no difference. They are interchangeable. Option D. @bean is only for database objects, while @component is for web objects. The correct answer is B. @component is a class-level annotation. When Spring scans the package, it automatically instantiates classes marked with @component . On the other hand, @bean is a method-level annotation used within @configuration classes. You use @bean when you want to manually control the instantiation of a class, especially when using third-party libraries where you cannot add @component to the source code. That wraps up our 30 practice questions for the Java App Development Certification. How many did you get right? If you struggled with the concurrency or JVM sections, don't worry, those are the toughest parts of the exam. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more developer certification content. For the full-length practice exams and a detailed study guide, check the link in the description below.